playing to their strengths because they do need that front line. They do need someone that can at least soak up some damage. A Bristol Black wouldn't be that bad at this point, but they will lack some serious lockdown, so you also need some stunner. A Mars wouldn't be that bad against the Luna, and especially against the Keeper of the Light and Tree and Protector, right? The Mars's arena takes away all of the trees, so if the Tree and Protector is nearby, you won't have that easy overgrowth on Z10. So it could work out. The glaives are going to be blocked away from the walls of the arena. You have a catch for the the storm too, but no, Z10 will go for the Largo. So at the very least, they will have a buffer. They will have some overwhelming heal going by their side, which can't really be negated on the side of G Time. You don't really have anyone that can build up to that spirit vessel, unless Slimy is the one on the Keeper of the Light support who's going to be going for it. But Moonlight's playing a hero on the storm that doesn't really build up to a vessel. So it's going to be interesting how G-Time actually play against this. And again, a very Falcons-like drop from Z10. They pick up the Largo 2 alongside their Drow. The damage reverberation coming in at the back of that multi-shot is something to be considered, because if, even with their limited disable, they're able to catch G-Time, steering chains plus the gust coming in from this Drow, or maybe even an arrow landing from Desire is going to be dealing out plenty of damage, especially when it's followed up with this Drow Ranger and with this Largo coming in. So G-Time have to play this very careful. Even the Tombstone is going to be, well, difficult to take down. Luna isn't exactly a hero that you consider to have a high amount of attack range, right? She's one of the least, has one of the lowest attack range of most range heroes out there, so it's not going to be an easy tomb game, or rather, it's not going to be an easy anti-tomb game. But we'll see which side actually comes out ahead, as G-Time versus Zero Tenacity is going to be up on our screens. At least game number 1 between both of these two teams. Do let me know if the volume is okay for all of you. Hmm. Seems like we'll have a one-to-one brawl, or rather, actually, maybe even a 5-to-5 brawl, as most of Z10's heroes are visible. They are completely seen, and Moose is going to be giving away first blood. He does manage to make it pretty far. Blood grenade slows are planted down on top of him, as Dream is able to slow them down, and they might actually find a kill in response. But no, Warwick chose not to skill up anything, and he couldn't close the gap for his searing chains. So they won't be able to get someone down. Even Desire didn't actually go for the Sacred Arrow, so they didn't actually have a single disable. So how exactly were they ever supposed to get a kill on G-Time? That is something that maybe was a lost opportunity, because you should have been able to get a kill there. Especially since your Undying was able to get out scot-free. But now it's Moonlight in trouble. So is Mixa. Who's going to be going down first? It does seem like it's the Largo. Moonlight will be the trade, but Vorik, he is potentially going to be the second casualty. Bashka will end up with a double kill, and Desire will leave a lot to be desired here. Wasn't able to do much on the Mirana. Well, mostly because it is a Mirana without a Sacred Arrow. Sure, the Starstorm, I mean, I guess the Starstorm is good to start off with, but normally you look for the Sacred Arrow. I suppose it's because of the lane that he wants to have the Starstorm in. But G-Time clearly get the better of that exchange. Now the question is, how are they going to be able to punish Bashka? You have the Frogstorm coming in by Mixa, but how are you exactly supposed to land this arrow, even if you are supposed to land it? Or is this just going to be a game where you use your Starstorm and you use your Celestial Quiver to keep Bashka low? I see a big problem with that approach, if that is their approach, is the fact that you have the living armor coming in from the Treant Protector, so you can't really do much to this Luna. It should be a free Luna laning phase, maybe even a free game for the Luna. that movement speed that you can't really match by any of your own heroes, apart from the Mirana's Leap, of course, and sure the Ember Spitter too. But there is very little catch. We'll see what exactly, or rather, how they actually approach some of those team fights when those team fights actually happen. As over on that bot lane, Cloud takes in quite a bit of damage. Moose will be able to find that decay and is able to take out the Underlord to even out that score line 2 for 2. G-Time don't exactly have too much of an advantage left. I do suppose most of their advantage, most of the net worth that they had over in, as far as their first 2 kills are concerned, are concentrated on the Luna. So that is going to be a bit of difference between both of these two sides. However, Cloud is suffering. Cloud is learning new definitions of the word suffer or suffering, as he only has about 2 lost hits. He's will be able to get it more with this creep wave, but playing into an Undying is really not easy. And the good thing is you do have Slimy with the fire, with the chakra magic, so you can constantly spam out your firestorms. That should be the way that he can recover in his farm. Probably the way that he recovers in his farm. Desire will walk back as a skill-based matchup towards that mid lane, working out much better for Moonlight than it is for Warwick. 18 lost hits to just the 10 of the Ember. That is quite a bit of difference here, as Warwick isn't able to CS as frequently. And despite of playing the Ember Spirit, he hasn't really gone for the Flame Guard, so that means he has nothing to protect himself against the static remnants that are just flying in constantly. But now with Desire coming in with the leap, Searing Chains landing on Moonlight alongside a double Starstorm, they might have enough, but Moonlight, he's going to try and turn it. He can't. Warwick will end up with the lost loft and will be able to pick up a great kill thanks to Dream coming in, and suddenly the difference in these lost hits is gone entirely. G-Time, I suppose the Storm played it as well as he could have given the circumstances. Moose is the one faced up with a lack of circumstances from his end. He'll be able to dodge out that Illuminate, but he's still inside of that Firestorm. A few more swipes from Cloud will do the trick, and they will be able to again mitigate the disadvantage that Cloud had with his few lost hits. I suppose both of these two teams, they're getting quite a bit done on the heroes that are falling behind, right? They're able to find the recoveries on those specific heroes, so it's probably pretty good overall. Top lane, Bashka and Cillian trying to punch away, and Mixa is kind of funny to watch because there's not really too much you can do against a Largo. The Leech Seed can just be dispelled away. Another factor in this game, and maybe that's because that's why they went for the Largo, is the fact that the living armor can also be dispelled by one lick. So you will have to wait for the lick to come in before you use the living armor. But what if the lick never comes in? Right? Are you never going to use a living armor? That's the catch-22 with this kind of an ability, with how good the lick is as an ability on its own. Great, well, decent cost range. Slimy, he goes down towards that bot side, got by Dream. Surprising he does get caught though, considering the fact that he is playing a Keeper of the Light. Plenty of, well, he doesn't have the boost of speed, so I suppose didn't have that much boost of speed compared to Dream, who already does have the brown boots. Hmm.
Radiant are scanning.
Warwick over on the mid lane will be able to remnant out, pick up that invisibility, and keep himself safe. Actually drops a remnant towards that
Radiant
triangle.
structures are fortified.
I wonder if it's because they want to contest the stacks in the next, I would say, 45 seconds. Doesn't really seem like they'd be in position for it. Or it's also to look for a potential Shrine of Wisdom play, but he is already too late with it. He would have already had to be in this position to be able to go for it, but he still will. Warwick remnants forward, and Slimy did not catch him. However, the teleport is coming in from the Treant Protector. Warwick, who has no power rune to play with, has to be a bit careful. Moose will drop down that tombstone. As Slimy, he can't go for it. The multi-shot will do quite a bit of damage, and Warwick will be able to take out Slimy. Meanwhile, Moonlight comes in with a Vortex on Dream, but the Drow is completely safe. It'll be Moonlight who'll fall. Moose will also be going down to the Firestorm, but that's quite worth it for Zero Tenacity. Moose will be right back. Cloud will be going down, and Bashka's gonna come in with an Eclipse that will clean up everyone else. G-Time. They do lose two of their cores. Bashka had to come in, but he does find yet another double kill. He finds a kill on the Drow too, as well as on the Mirana. Now, sure, those were the only two kills that they were able to get. The problem is, the Shrine of Wisdom, it was collected by Mixa. So, G-Time never really got those shrines. And they, just in terms of the numbers, also lost out on more of their heroes. So the gold advantage goes the way of Zero Tenacity, so does the experience advantage. And I would actually imagine that if you're G-Time, everyone else apart from Bashka is suffering right now, where he's the one who has 4 out of these 6 kills from your team. Sure, it's a 4 protect 1 draft, but now you've really dialed down or doubled down on your 4p1. Now it is just going to be Luna versus the world as you transition forward into the early game, because your supports are not going to be able to do that much. As so, okay, that is very interesting. I never actually spotted that out. They never really took the shrine, neither side. Bashka left the shrine for his support, so Slimy will be able to pick that one up. As that does change a lot of the dynamic, right? The goal lead may have gone in favor of Zero Tenacity, but Bashka picked up the 2 kills, and because they don't lose out on any of the experience, in fact, I would actually say that the supports from G10 are further ahead simply because it was Mixa who picked up the Shrine of Wisdom on the Radiant side. So Salient, he's already level 5 on the tree, although he's about to be sent back to the fountain, doesn't really have anywhere to go. Will get collected up by Warwick's Sleight of Fist. As they look for this tier 1 tower, hasn't taken much damage, but no one can really come and defend this. Not against a Tombstone, not against a Largo and an Undying, so I wouldn't be too surprised if G-Time actually choose to give this one up. However, Moose does move back. He does go back towards that bot lane. Maybe a bit afraid of some kind of a tempo play coming out towards Dream. That could always take place. You have the gate up, you have the Storm Spirit who has that level 6, so he can always Vortex in. Slimy can give him that level 3 Chakra Magic at 5 cooldown reduction, meaning that this Vortex, which is level 1, may actually come out twice, or even that Pit, which is double. Okay, the Pit is never going to come out twice. It's a 30-second cooldown. Dream will be able to leap away.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
When we take a look at the net worth, it is the Luna who is at the very top of the net worth chart. 5,800 gold for him. And the Drow has about 5,500, so the carries are matched evenly, despite the kind of kill advantage that Bashka is supposed to possess. The Drow Dream also is kind of like 2-1-4, right? So it's pretty much neck and neck. Even the mid laners are also. I would actually say that all of the cores are completely dead even in this game. Sure, the Ember is ahead. He's about 400 or 300 net worth ahead, but that's about the difference between these two carries too, the other way. So it's not that bad of a position to be in if you're either side. Dream does need to be careful. There is a move happening. It is the Storm as well as Slimy. Well, Moonlight and Slimy.
Radiant are scanning.
Dream with a smoke of his own will be able to break this apart. Pings are coming out, and G10 weren't able to spot this out. Now, Cloud, he will be revealed with a sleight of fist coming in by Warwick. Their smoke broke, so they had a clear idea as someone was nearby, but Cloud has not gone down. And Overgrowth will push back at Zero Tenacity as Moonlight will go in. Dream in a compromised position will be the first one to go down. Moose will be falling next, but Moonlight, he wants more. He wants the Mirana as well. Desire, no leaps available, will fall to the last charge coming in from Moonlight, and they'll be able to break through this tower as well. A 2,000 net worth advantage in the blink of an eye, alongside a tier 1 tower, as G10 clearly were well prepared for that attack. And the fact of the matter is that Underlord tanking that initiation coming in by Z10, they use their Searing Chain. And this is why I keep mentioning their lack of lockdown. Because when you use your Searing Chain on Cloud, on the tankiest target there is in the server, you don't have any follow-up lockdown for anyone else that decides to show up. Like, suppose it's the Storm, suppose it's the Luna, what are you going to do against them? You're sitting ducks, you're headless chickens running around the coop. That is definitely not a good look for Zero Tenacity, who I would say are the bigger team. I would say they're the more established roster between both of these two sides. Sure, Bashka is in a league of his own. A former Yellow Submarine player, has played at multiple Tier 2 events, including some Tier 1 events, if I do recall. I could be mistaken, but he has been, I would say, a favorite of the European Pro League throughout the years. Mid lane Moonlight is level 10, and that means the Ember Spirit, who's level 9, sure, the one level difference doesn't really mean all that much, but it's still something, right? It's the fact that the vessel is, according to Zbe, this Spirit Vessel timing is supposed to be the strongest timing in the early game for a team that has the Ember. But they're not able to play with it, right? They're not able to do much. And if Cloud is going to be your first point of contact, I'm afraid that you're never going to be able to do anything. You need to be able to go on someone else, and while you're doing that, Dream, who is already faced up against a lineup that has multiple ways to catch you down, his positioning needs to be better than what it was last time. His position needs to be absolutely perfect, because if he's in vision of G-Time, they will just jump him. They will be, if they're able to take him down, suddenly your team fight falls apart. You are lost without a purpose at that point, because you're really fighting for your drow. You're fighting to give this drow the best chance at farming up to stack up against the Luna later on, because that is the requirement for this game. It's become an essential requirement. This Luna is not going anywhere. Bashka will be a force to be reckoned with, and you will have to reckon with him. He already has the Manta Stealth at the 15-minute mark. I believe he already had it at that 14-minute mark, which is a great timing for the Manta. Moonlight will be leg back. Sharon Chains are going to come in, and they will be able to take him down. Somehow able to chain their lockdowns, as the Storm currently no way to dispel away the gust that comes in. The silence from this drow proving to be a bit too much. Cloud comes in with the Firestorm as well as the Root. Arrow doesn't really land. I wonder if they're trying to force this too much on Z10. Clearly, this tower is not going to budge. Now, sure, Bashka takes in quite a bit of damage, but Salient is nearby with a living armor. Level 4 living armor alongside that Mask of Madness for Bashka means that he'll be able to life steal, like, without any problem. And if you don't, if you commit 5 people towards a lane in the early game, towards perhaps a team fight or a tower, you need to either come out ahead in that exchange or you're going to be losing out massively because of this living armor, right? The tower, which barely took in any damage, is going to be healed up back to full HP. So that 5-man move they made isn't all that. Now, they did take away Moonlight. So you do have to consider the fact that it wasn't all in vain, right? It wasn't spoiled or spilled milk at that point.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Dream has a Manta style as Moonlight is going to be going in. Desire will be able to leap away. Moonlight is again in trouble. Will be able to remnant out. Can he zap away enough for the vessel to burn away, or rather tick away? He can. So he'll be able to get away in the nick of time. But again, a wasted attempt by G10 where you may as well farm. Right? You may as well just continue farming up with your Luna and your Storm. Bashka, he goes in with the Eclipse. Mixer is able to lick the Ember back. And again, the target prioritization coming in isn't really that good. Perhaps they thought that Largo wouldn't have been nearby, and thus the Ember would have died, especially with that Atos being revealed from Cloud. But well, the Largo was there, right? So that's anytime the Largo is there, your pit play doesn't work. You're also playing with limited lockdown if you're not willing to use the overgrowth, which again can be dispelled. So all of these spells that they have, all of these disables they have, all of them, none of them are stuns, right? Apart from, I would say, the Vortex, which is the only dispel that can't be taken out, or the only lockdown ability that can't be taken out by the Largo's Lick, which is the basic dispel and not a strong one. So that's one of the only ways you have that can consistently hold someone down, but it's only for about barely 2 seconds, I would say. Bashka needs to be a bit careful. They are hunting for him. With the sentry ward planted down, I believe they also caught a whiff of Salient. Dust is going to be coming out as he was hit by it, but they can't chase in after him. At the very least, though, alongside Dream, they should be able to make quick work of this tier 1 tower. And there's no resistance coming in, especially with the 5 heroes already present. They've also managed to plant down some vision, so the dire side will just have to let this go. They've taken the opposing tier 1 offlane, so it's not that bad. G10, they are making a play towards that mid lane to at least apply some damage, some pressure towards this mid lane tower. In fact, it's a bit more than just pressure. They'll jump in on Mixer and will be able to burst him with the Eclipse. Cloud will also come in through the gate to make sure that any kind of counterplay is going to be inhibited. Zero Tenacity, they're also making a play towards that bot lane. It is Moose who they were attempting to catch. However, it's really the Tormentor that they want. As soon as it spawns, despite of not having the Eclipse or the Pit, they're still going to be able to take it down simply because they're faster here. That little play that Z10 made towards that tier 1 tower on that top lane probably was not the best timed decision, because they were going in at a time where the Tormentor was also going to spawn. So they essentially gave up one tower for a tower on their own line, on their own side, on their own line of the map, or part of the map, and a Tormentor. So they gave up way more than G10 do, who now have the Shard on this Treant Protector alongside a 5,000 net worth advantage. The Shard, Eyes in the Forest, is pretty good against Z10. I mean, you can catch. You have information, additional information. That is what the tree and protector plays for. This is a probably this is a must buy for a tree, right? This is what you essentially play the tree and for. Sure, the overgrowth, the living armor, all of that is nice, but the transition into some of those mid game fights alongside the Eyes of the Forest make it like just makes it so much easier to take fights. You have increased nighttime vision with the Luna. Now you have permanent daytime vision too coming in from Salient's Eyes in the Forest. So Z10, the question is, with their limited lockdown, how are they going to take the better team fights? How are they going to get them, outmaneuver G10? Because I still have yet to see it. Moonlight, he is eyeing down someone. He was eyeing down the Ember Spirit, but decided to flinch towards the Mirana. Desire will get caught, and again, Eclipse comes in from a Scepter upgraded Luna. Bashka can always send it down towards the Storm Spirit, and it will follow the storm. You can also plant it down towards the Underlord as he's going through the gate, or rather anyone really going in through the gate, and it will follow them all across the map. Essentially, this Luna's Eclipse alongside the Scepter is a global ability. I would say the only way that is even faster is the fact that you pick up a Dawnbreaker and suddenly you plant the Eclipse down on the Dawn. He just Solar Guardians in, and he comes in with an entire Eclipse. 17,000 of a lead up now for the Luna. You still don't have the Aegis up, right? Roshan is still standing, and they're able to play on Z10's part of the map. They have the mid lane tower still standing, so this allows them to do this. Storm is going to go in for a zap, trying to catch out anyone he can. Desire is in the trees, so he won't get caught. But Moonlight will have that haste rune. You also have, constant mana being pulled in by Slimy, so Moonlight can go in for these scouting zaps. But now it is time for a play as Moonlight, he will jump in right on top of Mixa alongside of the cliffs. That Largo is dead. Vorik is trying to go in to take out Salient. It will be possible. Moonlight with that haste rune cannot actually be caught up to. But Vorik, he seems to want to actually catch someone. He wants to try and find a better exchange. A 3-man pit comes out by Cloud, but he is too slow against a Drow Ranger. Dream activates his BKB and is still unable to actually get on top of Cloud. Again, it is the tankiest target on the board as Cloud finally he gets locked down upon and will fall. Bashka activates his own BKB, wanted to go towards Dream, but they had a Glimmer Cape coming in, so Bashka will have to retreat. So at the end of the day, it's a Largo in exchange for your Tree and Protector plus your Underlord, so I'm not exactly sure if that is completely worth it, but they're not done. The Storm is going to go in for a zap, catching out the Drow Ranger. This was a play that they did not expect. A 3-man overgrowth, cutting them off from their escape. But Moonlight does go down. G10 will use another Eclipse. They finally are able to take out Warwick as well as Dream. It is Bashka once more to end up with a double kill. And again, he seems to be the showstopper each and every single time. Whenever Z10 are getting the advantage, Bashka comes in and he snatches that advantage right from underneath them.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
11-0-1 on this Luna. And sure, you can't really, the Lucent Beams in the Eclipse, they don't really do much when you have the BKBs up, but what's stopping Bashka from just waiting the BKBs out? It's also a 65-second cooldown. And that fight took more than a minute because we saw the Eclipse come out twice. And I have to say, you really do need a BKB on Mixer, right? He kind of needs that because he is the first point of contact each and every single time. This time around, it is Moose who's going to be safe. It is Cloud who ended up getting hit by the Sacred Arrow, and he is very vulnerable in this position. Slimy has already gone down. Cloud will be licked back, chained up by the Ember, and will be falling as well. G10, clearly they are getting a bit too ahead of themselves. I'm not sure they realize that Bashko is really the only one who can stack up. He's really the only one who's had, I would say, a good enough game to be playing this aggressive. Right now, he needs some additional protection. I would say you need plus armor, right? The Drow Ranger's marksmanship, it ignores the base armor. As far as it ignores base armor, but it doesn't ignore additional armor or like artificial armor. So it's a Shiva's Guard and Assault Quarters, things like that actually are really good against that Drow.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Desire will zap in. Moonlight does get hit by the Sacred Arrow, but forced off the way.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Dream. I mean, Bashka is right here, but there's no one nearby. The Underlord could come in and they could force his BKB very easily, down to that 7-second BKB with just one use of the Pit of Malice. But they chose not to make that play, which is, I would say, a bit surprising because you're not going to make a play for the next minute or so. At least that's what I would imagine. Bashka is content farming up for now, and you need your Storm to actually recover. He's fallen behind quite a bit. Oh, Moonlight, he gets rooted, but Sacred Arrow is off the mark. Fate of Manus has already come in. Warwick, now he's going to be eating that Vortex. Bashka has yet to throw down that Eclipse, and Warwick has already used his BKB. So the next time he decides to go in has to be after 90 seconds, because otherwise that Pit is going to come in with the Rod of Atos and Moonlight's additional Vortex, so you might not be able to make it out post-Eclipse.
Radiant are scanning.
Storm Spirit again goes in. There comes the Eclipse down over on that backline. Mix has already dropped out to about half of his HP, but Z10, they're able to punch back. Cloud actually falls. And again, this one-trick pony they're playing with Bashko's Eclipse, it's not really working out the way that they expect it would. Not really doing all that much, even though he plants it towards that backline. He does have a refresher, so he has that second Eclipse. May need to actually use it right now if they want to contest Roche, but they've already decided to disengage. they don't want to contest Roche. And so Dream will have a free Aegis. And I'm not sure this itemization from this Luna is going to allow them to scale up against the Drow. Right? I think about 5 minutes from now when this Drow has a Butterfly and Bashka's going to be playing with that Aghanim Scepter plus Refresher Orb. And as the game goes on, you're going to have more utility come out against this Eclipse. Maybe even additional Force Staffs. The Undying already has one. They have a Glimmer Cape. Largo is going to get faster and faster. Mirana already has the Ult. The Drow Ranger has the Hurricane Pike. They essentially have one item on everyone to counter out that Eclipse. And the Ember Spirit doesn't necessarily need an item. He doesn't really need the BKB against the Eclipse. He needs the BKB against the Roots, the Disabled, because he can just Remnant out of the Eclipse.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
The prize is mine.
Hmm.
Dire are scanning.
Z10 have an entire Aegis 3 whole minutes and a Butterfly that has come out for Dream. So that 5 minute scenario I was talking about is not even 5, right? It's just it is looking rough. It is looking rough indeed. This Luna Eclipse play that they were going for is not really working out too well for them. He's really the only one who was doing well in their lineup, and now he's not doing too well. Sure, he's still at the very top of the net worth chart, but a lot of that net worth is pulled into this Aghanims and this Refresher that you really need an extended team fight for this kind of a setup to work, right? You really that in that first Eclipse is probably going to force out the first set of BKBs, so it's not really going to do all that much. Then you use the Refresher, and that second Eclipse, that may be what you want to look for. You know, level 25. I really don't know which talent he goes for because he doesn't have the physical DPS build. Doesn't really have the kind of allied heroes he needs to go for the physical damage, but the Lucent Beam hitting the additional target really doesn't do anything either. Has he to build up to that shard too? I would imagine the damage reduction is really good for that shard. But let's see. Moonlight, unfortunately, is very under-leveled in this game. Didn't go for a BKB, went for the Lotus Orb. Probably because there's very little lockdown the other side possesses, so I think he might have imagined that the Lotus was enough, but it's clearly not. I would actually suggest a BKB would have been much better. Warwick isn't going to be able to catch the Keeper of the Light, as Slimy is going to be one lucky fellow. Now, he is a very rich lucky fellow. He has the full Scythe of Vice almost built up. That could be big. Scythe of Vice into the Eclipse means that by the time you're able to pop your BKB, you will have already eaten at least 6 to 7 beams of the Lucent of the Eclipse, which is going to be around at least 1500 damage, right? Then the BKB comes up. Duna uses the Refresher. You use the Eclipse again, so you can deal about 3,500 damage to anyone using the Scythe of Vice approach. It is really good. I'm not sure if it will be enough.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's bottom tower.
But we'll see, right? We'll get our answer shortly.
Is under attack. Dire's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's structures are fortified. Radiant's courier has been
G time. Have to decide when it's going to be time to defend their high ground as the tower gets denied away. Dream is going for the barracks. They are able to take out the range barracks, but the Aegis has expired. Now, the melee barracks is also falling down, while G-Time are coming in with the backstab. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be stabbing here. They're going to be walking into an observer ward, so they, quite frankly, just have to get back. They're waiting for this lineup from Z10 to approach this mid lane, but it's going to be the Ember who they can't really go in on. So I'm not really sure what G-Time's plan is going to be. Like, it really seems like they're lost without a purpose inside of their own, or rather outside of their own base. Oh, arrow? It landed on the storm. Tombstone is also going to be planted down. Isn't really going to catch much.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
The prize is mine.
Mix up. Oh, this is a great way to start a fight. Dream BKB has already come out. Mix up will be the first casualty. Bashka has a refresher. They can possibly take out Dream without having to use it. The Drow Ranger has fallen down. Warwick will be able to take out both supports. Meanwhile, that secondary Eclipse does come out. It's going to be the Undying who will get collected up. 2 moves will be going down. I don't know if he has that Ceaseless Dirge come up, but it is 3 entire kills. Ceaseless Dirge does eventually activate as Warwick, he has ran out of mana. The Lotus Orbs are going to be pulled in. He will be able to replenish that mana and walk away. But that was the first time in a while that G-Time were able to do something around the map. Is that going to be enough to find a comeback? I don't think so. Or rather, does it turn the tides in their favor? I'm not really sure. Hmm. Moonlight Shadow comes out, but quite frankly, it was right in front of G-Time, so they were able to spot it out, especially at nighttime, right? The Moonlight Shadow in while you have a Luna on the other side. Still though, that last team fight does suggest that Z10 have to approach these team fights very carefully. It's not a free lunch by any measure.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
As there is a 4,000 lead at the current point in time. does appear that the last team fight has maybe not resulted in G-Time coming out ahead, but it has resulted in a bit of a stalemate where Z10 aren't playing or posturing so aggressively as they were before, right? It has given them a pause for their thoughts. They're waiting for the next Roshan. Moonlight.
Dire are scanning.
He's going to be the one to zap in first. That Aghanim Vortex comes in, and the Eclipse will be able to take out Desire from the very get-go. A Pit comes out, holding back both moves as well as Mixer. Dream goes in to try and take out Cloud, who is isolated away from the rest of his team. He won't be able to walk away out of that one as Slimy, he already had gone down. G-Time, they will buy back on Slimy, but they will additionally lose their tree. Roshan is going to roar as they have that refresher orb up for Bashka, but how do they take a fight? How do they actually counteract this tempo, and how do they actually go in consistently enough to the point where they can actually pressure and take out both Dream as well as Mixta? Because you really do need to take out both of them. Taking out just the one doesn't really cut it, because Mixta's damage output is a bit deceptive. Dream's damage output not so much. But you don't have an MKB either. You have no way to pierce through this evasion.
Under attack.
Small bits of lag, I think. Or maybe just that hero.
Dire's top tower
As
is under
Z10 don't appear to be lagging at all.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Probably going to be a long range zap that will come in, but the banner has been placed down. That zap isn't going to take out those creeps. You have to kind of do something about this banner, but who is going to be the one to poke it is the big problem. Undying Moose has yet to actually drop down his tombstone. The Sorcerer zaps in, and there comes the Eclipse. Do they have enough? Turns out they really don't. That first Eclipse has barely tickled the side of Z10 as they are able to stand their ground. Banner is up there too. Tombstone is dropped down as well, and now you have to use your, or rather, that was the refresher for that second Eclipse. They don't have an Eclipse, so they don't have that kind of a play right now. Against an Aegis, Z10 will decide to go back, surprisingly.
The prize is mine.
The dirge goes on.
They go in once more. Drow Ranger is a very difficult target to take down, especially since he has a Satanic. I actually don't think they have enough damage, even if they were to catch this Drow. Not enough to take him down twice. Dream with the Frost Arrows. As the server is a bit shaky right now. Fortification, or rather, fortification is not there, but they do have the backdoor protection. The team fight is going to break out as Cloud doesn't have too much HP to play with. He needs to get back. Dream, at the same time, takes in quite a bit of damage, but will just pop his Satanic. And Moons even has that Aghanim shard, so he can really. That's an additional save you have against the Luna. It's just very simple. Only one barracks to get through before they acquire the Mega Creep's advantage.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Storm is going to go in. 3-man zap comes in as Salian is going to go in with an overgrowth. But again, there's all of those dispels. Salian will have to give up his life immediately, buys back into the game because, quite frankly, there's still the 40 seconds of that Aegis. And you don't have your lost tier 3 tower. The barracks, they are exposed. QZ10. Range barracks is going to be going down first, but it is still Moonlight who'll go in. 3-man Vortex, and Bashka, he also goes all in. They want to be able to take down this fight. Will be able to find the Drow's first life, but Dream, once he comes back up, will activate his BKB and just start to go to work. Moonlight has to get back, but gets hit by the Searing Chains. Has no more mana to zap away. The Storm will fall. Warwick down very low, but not out of the fight. Eclipse comes down towards that backline, and Moonlight, he has bought back, so they will be able to take apart the Drow. Moonlight is able to catch Mixa, and they will be able to take the Frog out too. They do manage to hold their base, but at what cost? There's just this one barracks that is standing. And the fact of the matter is, you've used 3 entire buybacks. You have to go for some kind of a play on your own. There's still the tier 2s up. There's a glyph available, which means that it's a minimum of 3 glyphs that you have to get through, or at least a minimum of 2 glyphs if you decide to go for. Well, there's no way you can decide to go for the throne. Is the big problem. So they will choose to farm the jungle while their base is dying, guys.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Okay, they will farm the jungle and they will take out a tier 2 tower. You know that in the current circumstances, that is
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
something,
Radiant
I suppose. Now, don't get me wrong, they will still go back to farm the jungle. You know, might as well. You don't have too much of a map left for your team. Surprised there's no one going for this D ward. You know, when you do push back at the other side, you go for the cliff D wards. They did spot out the triangles cliff, but not really the one inside of their own jungle. And Z10, now they will have to just go for a play. There is one interesting thing that Bashka has done. He has committed towards a Divine Rapier, has that Swift Blink, so he might be able to actually blink in and pop everyone with another one of those vortexes. Moonlight has been able to find those. Now, whether he's found those because Z10 have, you know, boxed themselves into this narrow corridor because you kind of have to, right? When you're approaching the barrack, this is the only way that you can target this barracks.
Radiant are
Comforting
scanning.
rune of regeneration.
Hmm. 5-man smoke comes out. It's not that big of a lead, right? And you do have to respect this Divine Rapiers. You do need that Aegis. It'll be the third Aegis. It'll come with that Refresher Shard for Warwick. I assume it's going to be for Warwick. You refresh all of your remnants at the same time. And so you'll have those 5 remnants to play with.
Shadows take us.
As the red moonlight comes in. There's a gem on Slimy. Bashka's smoke is also going to break. Dream is coming in from the side. Slimy is broken down. Eclipse comes out as they are going to be able to jump that drow, but the Tombstone save comes in. G-Time have to get back, but Salient, he has lost his life as a casualty in the midst of their escape. He doesn't have a buyback. It is a 4v5. Now, the good thing is he'll be able to respawn. And the reason is that they're still going to look for that Aegis. They're not going to go high ground just because there's no tree. No one cares for the trees anymore. We really should, guys. Just on a global level, plant a tree. You know, if everyone planted a tree every year, that's 7 billion trees. Now, I'm not sure what the adult population is, because that's really who you can ask to plant down trees. Can't really ask a 2-year-old to plant down a tree, but whatever the adult population is, if they planted a tree every year, that will be like a billion, at least at a minimum rate, a billion trees a year. Think about that. A billion trees a year. Roshan is going to fall. Dream will pick up the Aegis Refresher Shard up for Warwick.
Radiant are scanning.
The flames rush forth.
They're still waiting. A 55-minute game. I wonder if this game is going to go to 60 plus minutes. A 5-man smoke comes in. Banner has also been planted now, so the Illuminates are not really going to do too much. And Mega Cruise doesn't really matter at this point. What matters is how you're going to go for a play. It turns out it is going to be a backstab attempt. Cloud is going to be broken down. Immediately will be the first casualty in this fight. Moonlight was only able to find the one. Bashka has to get back. It is Warwick who will get licked back, will be able to activate his BKB. No Underlord for 120. Bashka will also fall down. Stallion will be the third casualty, and it really feels like G-Time's time is up. Stallion has now found his buyback. The Ember Spirit apparently died inside of the fountain. But quite frankly, your throne is now exposed. There is no Luna for 90. No Underlord for 90, and the Ember Spirit is going to come back. Takes out Slimy, who buys back into the game, but the throne is guaranteed to fall at this point because G-Time, they're confined to their fountain. Game number 1 will be going the way of Zero Tenacity, as despite G-Time's stubbornness to admit that they have lost, they will have to come to the realization that their throne is no more. And Zero Tenacity, despite the fact that Bashko was having a phenomenal game, they were having a great game as far as everyone else is concerned. Sure, Mixa was dying at the start of every fight, but eventually they itemized in a way to counter out this Luna Scepter Eclipse. And it really never did all that much past that 30-minute mark. Sure, it took a while, but they got all of the Roshans, they got all of the objectives around the map, they were able to pressure G-Time much better, and they were able to come up with the win. Are they going to be able to do that 2 times in a row and sweep G-Time under the rug, though? That is the big question, as G-Time have proven that they can push back at Zero Tenacity and certainly make them sweat. Are they going to be able to make them sweat hard enough to actually push them to a game number 3? Well, we'll be back right after a short break to find out over at the European Pro League season number 38. Don't go anywhere, guys, and stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the European Pro League season number 38. Zero Tenacity versus G Time going at it in a best of three as Zero Tenacity have now picked up their Terror Blade. And this is one of the heroes that they really like to play with. Meanwhile, G Time will stick to their strengths, which is going to be Bashka's Luna. It did do really well last game. The rest of their lineup wasn't doing as well. But now they've picked the Largo for their own lineup. Meanwhile, Zero Tenacity are going to be playing with what I assume is going to be a
10
Snapfire
seconds remaining.
as a core. It's also the fact that
5
you have the
seconds
offlane
remaining.
option open up, which is the Doom against the Largo. So G Time should just
Radiant
ban it
win.
out. But they choose to ban out the Enigma. Maybe because of that combo wombo, right? The Phoenix Egg, Enigma Black Hole, Snapfire, Mortimers. But I don't know if the Enigma would have been a good option for Zero Tenacity. They are going to be, G Time have the Luna. So one of the biggest strengths of the
10
Enigma is
seconds
not
remaining.
exactly going to be the black hole. It's really just the pushing potential
5
and the utility
seconds
that the Enigma
remaining.
gives you. But against the glaives of the Luna, those
Turret
idlers don't
being
really
built.
last all that long. But who knows? Maybe they had a plan for it. They did have the Rubik though, which you know it leaves me scratching my head a little bit. But let's see. G Time for the current
10
moment
seconds remaining.
have to think about. I mean, they only have one
5
more ban,
seconds remaining.
right? So they really have to think about this one, what it is they want to be banning
Radiant
out.
team
It is going to be the
double.
Tide Hunter that they
Dire
do
team
take out. Zero
double.
Tenacity go for the Invoker. So it turns out it's going to be a Snapfire offlane, or is it going to be a Phoenix offlane? It can be either one, really. But a Phoenix plus Nyx Assassin lane doesn't really seem that strong.
10 seconds
The
remaining.
Bane is super good at making sure the Nyx Assassin can't really pull, and Nyx Assassin isn't really
5
one a
seconds
hero that
remaining.
pulls effectively or all that well. You'll take in a lot of damage before you're able to pull those creeps. So hmm. I'm not sure who I'd actually prefer, the Phoenix or Snapfire offlane, but I would say that maybe the Snapfire offlane is a more meta offlane.
You may
G
now
time,
select your heroes.
who did they go for? My screen froze when they were going for their lost hero, so I suppose we'll find out together when the screen resumes. It should. I saw the Phoenix wings move a little bit. And you do have to excuse me, guys. The recent patch, or actually not the recent patch, not the one that came out yesterday. It's ever since 7.41C came out that my Dota ends up bugging out at the very start of the game. But hopefully, it turns out to be okay in a short while. Because I assume that you all can still hear me because my OBS, my second screen, everything is running smooth there. There we go. It was the Queen of Pain that G Time went with, and for some reason the spotlight is bugged on the Queen of Pain. I wonder if the game is actually paused or not. Hmm. This is very interesting. This never really happened to me before. What I will do is I will reconnect into the game, and hopefully that should uh, resolve the issue. I will tune into the starting screen, or rather just the matchup screen, and then I will reconnect into the game, and we'll be back into. Or rather, no, actually, never mind, guys. Never mind. They did not like it very much. The game will. I do think the game was paused. Um, could have been paused, probably, which is why we saw the screen flash away. Moonlight is playing the Queen of Pain now, 22 and 14 as why is the game freezing like that? Never mind.
Prepare for battle.
The game is definitely going to be paused now. As Cloud is I too was lagging. So maybe it's just overall lag. Now, of course, what they're probably referencing is latency rather than uh FPS. Or I mean it could be FPS as well. I don't really know. Too many darn wizards. Interesting, this voice line that Mix I just spammed out is present on every single hero, or nearly every single hero. The wizard that they're referring to is I assume the voice lines were made for the developers, just to showcase or give them some love uh, in the game. Because if you Google how many heroes have this wizard voice line, not the exact same one, they each have a different way to reference the wizard. Um, you'll actually find quite a lot. And I'll try to find it for you guys. Hmm. So if you go to Dota2fandom.com, right, there's a wiki on the shitty wizard. So where I previously said that most heroes have it, every single hero in the game actually has that voice line, or just a voice line referencing the wizards. So go check it out if you want. If someone wants the link, I can always post it in the chat. But that depends on if there is any interest in any of you to go through it. See, makes us spam it again. Too many darn wizards. I agree. There are too many darn wizards. Hmm.
30 seconds to battle.
Desire and Vorik hanging about over on the side, thinking about how they want to approach this position. I would actually say that their lineup isn't exactly super strong at the level 1 mark, but Desire, he'll throw out that stun and Slimy will get caught in it. Now, at the very least, G-Time will still be able to pick up 2 bounty runes, so it's not really all that relevant. I do wonder where this net worth difference actually comes from. Like, 6 pos 4s have more than the pos 5s. Huh. I would have to actually think about that one. Because everyone technically starts off with the same net worth. But who really knows? Mixo will be playing the Snapfire, so it is the Snapfire off lane alongside Desire. Not exactly the strongest of lanes with the next assassin, but you have multiple stuns. And Salian needs to be careful because if he does get caught out of position, even though he has the Nightmare, it's still going to be very difficult for him to get out. Bashka can't help him, right? Bashka is playing a Luna. So to close the gap on a Snapfire means you're closing the gap on that Scatter Blast, and you really don't want to be in that position. You also, the range is interesting because I do believe that the Bashka's attack range is within the AoE or within the range of that Fire Snap cookie. So you have to be careful when you go in for the punches. Meanwhile, Moose, Slimy is going to throw out that blood grenade. But when you take a look at the lost hits, it is Mixer who is doing very well for himself. Mid lane is going to be the Invoker versus Moonlight.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Mixer has a Snapfire cookie. We'll activate it. Scatterblast is not going to land on the Bane, though. It only procs on Bashka. So Salian will be able to walk away. Didn't have the brain sap, so that damage could have possibly been enough to take him down. But Mixer was also focused more on lost hitting than he was on applying damage towards Salian. Those are some things that you could adjust around for Zero Tenacity. Moonlight is, well, he is walking away, thinking about what exactly he wants to be going for. Invoker versus Queen of Pain isn't exactly a one-sided matchup. I would say that it is still a skill-based matchup where Moonlight does have to be careful about where and when he blinks. Right, you don't want to have your blink off of cooldown in a compromised position where the cold snap procs on you, and then the chaos meteor might actually just fall down, or rather a sunstrike, or even just the cold snap procs alongside the force spirits. That itself could be deadly for Moonlight. At the same time, a single rotation coming in from either the Rubik or the Bane could be enough to take out Warwick, even though it does seem unlikely that's going to happen. I don't think the Bane can rotate away because then you leave the Luna alone. The Rubik can because you have a Largo, and I do think that Cloud can survive for as long as he needs to, really. There's no stun on the safe lane from Z10. But we will have to see. As far as the dispels go, there's not really too much that Cloud can dispel away, apart from the Phoenix's debuffs. There is still the spells from the Invoker that you could dispel away, of course. The Cold Snap, namely one of them. Desire is here. Surprising that he's the one who came in to try and take away the Water Rune, of course, but wasn't exactly successful because I do believe, or rather, no, they were successful. Warwick and Desire secured the Water Runes away from Moonlight, who has an empty bottle right now. Warwick is also able to find quite a few good lost hits, but Moonlight, he was able to find the Observer Board Deny. So that is quite big for the Queen of Pain. You see Warwick on 16 lost hits, the Queen of Pain on 18, so it is a dead even mid lane, I would say. The carries are also having plenty of farm, and the game has now come past that 5-minute mark. So that means whenever first blood happens, it's going to give a big advantage to whoever is able to grab that. It does seem Mixer is going to be in a bit of trouble. Sadian has a level 2 Brain Sap, applies it on Mixer, who has that Lotus, so he'll stay safe. Desire is going to be the one to take in quite a bit of damage and might actually have fallen down there. The lost hit damage is simply, or rather barely, not enough. The Nyx, or rather, Salian has a Brain Sap and will be able to draw first blood. Mixer walked back into his own demise. Moose is here with the Phoenix, but even though he is Z10, it seems like they outmaneuvered themselves. That Phoenix coming in, giving them the false sense of security, as now, because the Phoenix rotated away, G-Time are able to make a play on Dream. 2 kills back to back, and in fact, a very big kill on the Terrorblade of all heroes. Cloud is going to be having a fantastic time.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Salian, ooh, good Sunstrike, or rather the Scattered Blast damage is simply proving to be a bit too much. It is still going to be interesting to see how they'll apply a counter pressure towards Bashka, who had an essentially free game last time around, and you can't really give that, give the Luna another free game. It is Moose who can't exactly dive away. Bashka with a Lucent Beam was always going to be able to stop him from his dive, and will be able to find yet another good start to this second game. Now, is it going to be a good enough start to make sure that they can close out the game this time around? If they are playing against a weaker offlane, I would say between the Largo core and the Snapfire core, I would pick the Largo, but for different reasons. I think the Snapfire core presents the opportunity to dish out some serious damage. So if your Invoker is able to create the control and create the setup, then I would imagine the Snapfire comes out ahead. But if the Invoker can't do that, then you might as well have been better off with a hero like the Largo, right? Or maybe an Underlord or a Mars or something, or like a Tidehunter, something that offers you more control in the team fights. Because you will lack some serious frontline. Who is going to be taking in damage? Invoker's not going to be the one on that front line, neither is your carry. But this is one of those games where he might just be forced to do so. Warwick is inside the frog, so Moonlight has that Sonic Wave, will dish it out, but Warwick used the wand. Cloud doesn't have a sentry, neither does Slimy, so that's a wasted Sonic Wave. They weren't able to read Warwick's magic wand. He just healed right back up. And the amount of HP that he has suggests to me that even with the Sonic Wave, that might not have been enough.
Radiant's top tower
Moonlight did not have enough mana for the additional Scream of Pain, so wouldn't have been able to pick up the kill regardless. Ooh, good use of the Carapace. Stun also comes down. Moonlight thought he could get a sneaky Scream of Pain in alongside that Nightmare, but very well played by the Phoenix. Hmm. Cloud as well as Slimy. No, I would actually imagine that the 3 kills that Dire Side have are good, but are they good enough? Because Warwick is uncontested. Sure, he doesn't have as many lost hits, but he is ahead of the Queen of Pain in that regard. They're terribly stacking up. And in a simple one-to-one matchup between the TB and the Luna, I would actually imagine the TB comes out ahead. Fiend's Grip is going to be mitigated, but the Fate Bolt is going to take out moves. Desire is going to come in with a stun, but has really nowhere to go. Sonic Wave this time around cannot be dodged. Desire will fall. 2 quick kills coming out for G-Time. And that is a very good start. Bashka is just dishing out damage towards this tier 1 tower. Catapult Wave is coming in. As Warwick, he'll find that tornado alongside the Meteor Hammer as well. The Mortimer's flying down and Bashka will fall. Z10 get the biggest kill they can. And Bashka was way too far out. When we switch over to the net worth, he's still at the very top of the net worth chart, right? Simply because he has the most amount of lost hits. He has quite a lot of, I would say, I do wonder if he's going to be going for a different itemization build. The Eclipse this game is good, but against the illusions of the TB, right? You create 5 illusions, or rather run around with 5 illusions that will soak up the majority of the Eclipse beams, with the Mantis style, of course. So it's not exactly a good Scepter game. There's also the Carapace, which will soak 1 beam. Invoker has the Ghost Walk, Phoenix has the Dive, although I'm not sure the Dive will be possible against the Scepter Eclipse. Dream coming in with the Metamorphosis. Tier 1 tower is going to go down, and that should be a decent enough opening for Z10. Bashka tried to apply whatever pressure he could in the early phases of the game. And they are looking towards Bashka once more. Tornado is going to be there. It does catch out Bashka. Meteor Hammer is going to land down as well, and Bashka will be frozen in place. Egg will also be committed, because why not? If you're able to pick up a core, or really the most valuable core in the game for G-Time, or rather, the most valuable core in the game overall, right? This. Between Dream and the Luna's job is much harder this game. Because the control, you have a Largo and the Bane, so I as well as the Rubik, to be fair. So I wouldn't say their control is lacking, but the Invoker is just too good at that one singular aspect. Like the amount of control. Oh no, the Queen of Pain, Illusion Rune is going to be able to blink away thanks to that. But Slimy may not be able to make it very far. Fire Spirits as well as the Cold Snap, and Slimy is a goner. There are now 4 heroes from Zero Tenacity present on this mid lane, with Moonlight not in possession of too much HP. He may have that one infused raindrop, but the Meteor Hammer will mean that Zero Tenacity, they might just be able to take out this tier 1 tower. Cloud does come in, but he's all alone with the Largo. That Frog Stomp is going to enable them to at least make sure the Forest Spirits fall and buy them enough time for Moonlight to come back in. Alongside Slimy, everyone's joining the mid lane. We'll see who comes out ahead. Ooh, good carapace once again, and a great Snapfire cookie! The Mortimers are going to come flying in. Moonlight has that blink available at that very last second, but again, it is Slimy who went down, and because he fell, the Meteor Hammer is going to take care of that tier 1 tower. Zero Tenacity playing this very quick, very simple, as Dream with the Metamorphosis will be able to take apart the last tier 1. They have all 3 tier 1 towers taken down, while they have all 3 tier 1s up for their own team. Desire is going to steal away the Shrine of Wisdom at that 14-minute mark as well to add insult to injury. And G-Time, this is tricky. This is very tricky now. You're both playing a 4v1 draft, like both teams are, and one side has more space to farm. So one side is clearly much further ahead as far as their 4v1 goes. The Queen of Pain is also a snowball-oriented hero, but he's not really snowballing. His Sonic Waves haven't done much, apart from that one kill on the Nyx. So how exactly are they going to build up space for their Luna? That is going to be the big question. It's a question that is, well, they'll have to solve. Salian, he does have the Fiend's Grip. He will choose to plant it down on Mix-Up. Phoenix does dive in alongside that egg. Mix-Up still hasn't gone down, but the Eclipse should take care of him. Meanwhile, the backline supports are going to fall. Desire barely missing his Impale. And Bashka should be able to walk away thanks to that. They do catch vision of the Luna though, so he's not safe quite just yet. Desire is going to be chasing in after him. Tornado is going to be on cooldown, so Bashka will be able to make it out. 1 for 2 overall. Not that bad for G-Time. Not that bad for Z10 either. I would actually say that's a pretty much even exchange. In fact, just by the sheer numbers, Z10 do get more out of it. But I would imagine that the Snapfire losing out on his life is, he's going to be missing out on some critical farm.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Moonlight. Tornado is there alongside that Chaos Meteor, but the Cold Snap, it is not going to work. Not with Cloud right beside the Queen of Pain. So the Invoker doesn't even attempt it. I wonder how many... I know the Meteor Hammer, the Deafening Blast, cannot be dispelled. A lot of these abilities cannot be dispelled. Chaos Meteor can. So Chaos Meteor... Cold Snap, those are the only 2 real abilities that can be dispelled. Tornado says it can be dispelled away as well, but how do you use the dispel while you're up in the air, right? So, Desire.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Dream will be able to take out that tier 2 tower, and C10, they're just building up space. More and more space around the map.
Radiant's courier has been killed. Radiant's top tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Salient. is also going to be caught out. Forest Spirit's going to receive the cookie, but they'll receive a Bane in place of that. So it's still only 1,000 net worth advantage. We do have to keep that in mind. So despite of all the objectives Z10 are getting, Bashka is doing a great job at continuing to farm up. So too is the Queen of Pain, nearly having matched the net worth of that Invoker, but is the least farmed core in the game. Largo is still pretty farmed up too on Cloud. It has that Sanj and Kaya, flying in. So they do have some things going their way. It's just not enough things going their way. Is the thing. They've still yet to build up some space around the map. Now, one thing they have been good at is that Fiend's Grip. This time around, they'll plan it on Desire. It's not really the best trade, but the smoke was broken, so might as well go for it. And maybe transition this into a tier 1 tower. No Next Assassin, no one else in position either. Muse has the egg, so he could potentially come in.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
And they do find the tier 1 tower, mitigating the lead that Z10 possessed. Open up the map for their own bit, so the next Fiend's Grip is also going to be, the ease of execution is going to be there. At the same time, you do have a Pipe of Insight built up from the Phoenix. There is a bit of difference in the net worth as far as the supports are concerned, right? The Phoenix is very well farmed. This is a position 5 Phoenix, by the way, who's only about 1,600 net worth behind the Queen of Pain. Or rather, actually, no, he's 2,600 behind the Queen of Pain. That's quite a lot. That changes when I do point out those numbers. Desire? Wow, the Queen of Pain, he walked, or rather blinked right into that one. Oh, that is awkward. That is awkward indeed. Killing spree going the way of Moose and G-Time, that one is really going to hurt them. That is... He did pick up the amplified damage. Maybe when you come back, you're going to be able to use that rune and try and take a fight. Slimy is trying to go for the teleport away, will not be successful. Meanwhile, Salient also died. So G-Time, they are kind of giving up their positions and crumbling all across the map. That is not what you want to do. Tormentor is again going to be up 0 Tenacity. They know how to play with their timings. They will move into the Tormentor immediately and will be able to take it down.
Radiant are scanning. Dire are scanning.
A 5-man smoke comes out.
Invisibility.
Throughout the eons, I have been known by many names. But my true name of power is
Desire? He is going to be sending down his Impale. Sunstrike also lands alongside that Essence Distiller, but it's not really going to take out the Queen of Pain. It will force him to teleport back to the fountain, so maybe Z10 are going to look for additional plays. that 1,000 lead doesn't look so small any longer. It's a 6,000 lead now at the 22-minute mark. It is significant. Slimy is going to be caught over on the mid lane, has nowhere to go really. Sunstrike is not going to be the one or the one spell that takes him out. Mixo will pick up the kill. And again, where the Snapfire was struggling in the early phases of the game, he has a Blink Dagger and a Kaya up now. They have everything they need, really. It's not even Dream that is the biggest factor, because it's just a terrible at a 22-minute mark. He doesn't have as much, right? But it's the fact that this Invoker is fully online. It's the fact that this Snapfire is fully online, or rather online enough to dish out like around 1,000 to 1,500 damage. The Invoker too has that Octarine core in just about, well, he has it now thanks to the Roshan goal that came in. Dream now in possession of that Aegis means 5 more minutes of complete free farm for the Terrorblade. You can't even go in on him. It's too risky. And they don't have the initiation capacity. Right? That is probably something that was my bad because I didn't really talk about that. But who's supposed to be the one going in? Is it Moonlight who's supposed to jump in? Is it the Largo who's supposed to merrily sing his way inside of a team fight? Is it the Bane who, with the Ether Lens to start things off with the Fiend's Grip, that he should never really be able to get off because all you really need to cancel this one is just a Tornado? Or is it the Rubik with that lift? A lot of possibilities, none of them are good. None of them are sure shot ways of initiation, or none of them give you that, you know, that factor, that hit factor, that 1 to 2 seconds of burst time. Sure, you have that sonic wave, but is that going to be enough to burst someone down?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Mix up. Sonic Wave is going to be there. He is teleporting back, or at least will attempt to teleport back. So a great pick-off. A lot of the kills that they've found are at the back of Salient's Fiend's Grip. I will say that. So he has been the one to find these successful initiations as far as the pick-offs are concerned. I've yet to see a convincing team fight, but maybe Bashka, with the way that he is farming up, if they're able to consistently find these kinds of pick-offs, they may be able to hold the game long enough so that Bashka can start to look for some fights going his way, but it's going to be hard. You're playing into a Terrorblade. Salient will get caught and will just immediately... Okay, he won't immediately die thanks to the lick, but he will die regardless. Zero Tenacity once like... Oh no, Cloud got caught towards the side! How did Desire make his way in, is my question. Did he just walk in? Without your Largo, without a Sonic Wave available for about 30 seconds, this is a free lane of barracks. So that earlier pickoff on the Snapfire, turns out it actually hurt them more than giving them some space.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower has Radiant fallen. Are scanning. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Gate or outpost is going to be collected. Aegis is still up for a full entire minute. It is again going to be Salient to get caught. And every time he gets caught by Warwick, he is guaranteed to fall. That gem belongs to... Does it really belong to the... I think it does. I think they've stopped showing who actually bought the gem. Metamorphosis alongside that Alacrity, dishing out damage towards that tier 2, tier 3 tower actually. They also have the pipe. They also have the meteor hammer. They have so much damage going into these objectives, and I'm not really sure if G-Time will be able to hold off this kind of a push. Aghanim Scepter up for the Queen of Pain. Great against the Terrorblade. So if an extended team fight does happen, you do have some ways to fight. It's just not enough ways. I don't know. I see an 11,000 lead at a 28-minute mark. I see a Terrorblade who is so farmed up. I see an Invoker who is so farmed up. 5,000 ahead of the Queen of Pain. And I see a Largo with minimal to no impact. And all because there's no initiation coming in. Salient, where he's able to find a few quick kills. Like, you take a look at his main, 1, 7, and 6. Forget the deaths. He has 1 kill and 6 assists. He has 7. So he's been involved in 7 of the 8 kills. None of the other heroes have that same kill participation. Apart from Moonlight, he's 4-1-1. You know, he has 50% of the kills that G-Time have. But my point is, who's supposed to be the glue in this lineup, in this game? Who's supposed to be the one to hold it all together? Does someone have that role, or is it just kind of do what you can? We'll find out one way or the other. Ooh. Desire missed his Earth Spike. Or rather, the Impale. It's not really an Earth Spike. I wonder why they have different names for it. Dream going in. We will have to see how that actually works out. 5-man smoke. You can't give up your second lane of barracks here is the big problem. It is the Bashka who gets caught. He does have a BKB. Good Sonic Wave coming in by Moonlight. Unfortunately, he may not be able to make it very far. Unable to blink away. And now, without the Scream of Pains coming in, how do you defend this barracks? The Creep Wave is no longer there, and the backdoor protection is going to kick in. So maybe that will be enough to push them back. Oh, Slimy though? He lifts back the Terrorblade. Again, very limited points of initiation. To the point where I don't know if it's enough. Okay, Rubik. Okay, Slimy. He was... So he wanted to Ghost Walk and take out the creeps instead of using his Fate Bolt, which is one way to go about it. It's not the right way, but it is one way. Desire. Stormcrafter? Oh, I don't know who the Fiend's Grip went towards. Cillian, though, he'll still be able to make it out, so I suppose that is something. Fiend's Grip now down for about 100 seconds. I still hear the Fiend's Grip. Or I was hearing it. gem now no longer on the Invoker. It's in the hands of the Nyx Assassin. And sure, they are holding on to their barracks, but Bashka's net worth has been overtaken by the Terrorblade. He does have a Butterfly of his own, but Dream has a Scotty. And this Scotty means that the healing coming out from Cloud is not that effective. Roshan is going to roar, where as Jita, I'm not sure where they're. Are they going through the gate?
Radiant are scanning.
Do they want this Tormentor? Okay, it's the Tormentor that they want. It is obviously not a good enough trade, but it's perhaps the only one they can find around the map. Salient, he is going to fall. Get fucked. And the voice lines immediately come out.
Is under attack. Middle barracks has fallen. Dire are scanning.
Dream. Three-man reflection comes out as he's just going to be able to Hurricane Pike away. Bashka is in a compromised spot. Tornado is not going to catch him, but the EMP surely will. BKB is activated as Bashka has no choice but to fight back. Vorik is going to be hit by the grip and will fall. G-Time have a pretty good fight starting off, but they are going to be losing their heroes, and Bashka, he can't sustain this fight when he doesn't have a BKB. He is now down for about 80 seconds without a buyback available. It is going to be the supports who will come back into this. But Dream, he will make quick work of these barracks. Without the Luna for about 70 seconds, sure, the Queen of Pain does have a buyback, but you don't have a Rubik any longer either. Moonlight has also bought back into this game. Blink is going to be available. He'll be able to make it back to his fountain. But Dream might just continue forward towards these barracks. His Moose also bought back. And sure, it is a 3v4, no Invoker, but it's Cloud who gets caught. And GG will be the call by the Largo. G-Time lose this series. Zero Tenacity take it 2-0. The second game much more convincing than the first one. Just going to show that they are the more experienced organization, but the performance by Bashka has been pretty good in both of these two games. Being able to find his form, I do think that the draft, there were a few issues with the draft from G-Time. There, no initiation, right? We saw them very much struggle to start off those team fights. But let's see what the future for G-Time will hold, as we do have an entire tournament left. Zero Tenacity, though, they will have their first win. Meanwhile, we will have another series lined up for you. The last series of today is going to be between, I believe, Illiverse versus Spirit Academy. There's no Rubicon, but Spirit Academy is still there. We'll be back for EPL after a bit of a break, actually. It's going to be about 25 minutes, so don't go anywhere, guys, and stay tuned.